Welcome back to the Life Spark Notes Book Club.
I'm Rebecca.
I'm John, and I'm so excited to dive into another thrilling read with you all.
I am ready to unpack some serious character development and some really thought-provoking themes.
Today we're taking a deep dive into Divergent, the first book in Veronica Roth's captivating dystopian trilogy. This one's a real page-turner, especially for those who love exploring themes of identity, choice, and courage.
All the good stuff.
You know, the good stuff.
Absolutely.
Published back in 2011, Divergent quickly became a young adult sensation.
It did.
And for good reason.
Yeah.
It throws us into a futuristic Chicago where society is split into 5 factions.
5.
Based on personality.
I know it's a lot.
5 factions based on personality? That's a pretty intense concept.
It is.
What does that even look like?
Well, just imagine a world where your entire life is predetermined by whether you value selflessness, peace, honesty, bravery, or knowledge above all else.
Oh, wow.
That's the reality for the people in Divergent. They're divided into Abnegation, Dauntless, and erudite.
Wow.
Each faction representing one of these core values.
Okay, I'm already hooked. Tell me more about our main character.
Okay, so our protagonist is Beatrice Prior.
Okay.
She's 16 years old.
Okay.
And she's living in Abnegation, the faction that values selflessness above all else.
Got it.
They're actually the ones who run the government.
Yeah.
They're believed to be incorruptible because of their self-sacrificing nature.
So Triss is all about putting others before herself.
Yes.
That sounds like a pretty challenging way to live.
It really does have its complexities, you know?
Yeah.
Roth paints a very vivid picture of abnegation life, gray clothes, simple homes, bland food.
Right.
It's all about minimizing personal desires and focusing on the needs of others.
Wow, that's quite a commitment.
Yeah.
But you mentioned Triss struggles with this lifestyle.
She does.
Yeah.
So Triss feels this pull towards something more, a sense that she doesn't quite fit the abnegation mold.
Yeah.
And this inner turmoil comes to a head during the aptitude test, which is a mandatory evaluation that's designed to determine which faction each 16-year-old is best suited for.
Ah, the classic dystopian aptitude test, always a source of drama and intrigue.
Of course.
What happens with Triss's test?
So hers throws a major wrench into the system.
Oh.
Because instead of neatly slotting her into one faction, the test suggests that she's equally apt for abnegation.
Okay.
Dauntless and erudite.
3 factions.
I know.
That doesn't sound like a good thing in this world.
It's not a good thing.
Yeah.
She's labeled divergent.
Okay.
Someone who doesn't fit into any one box.
Oh.
And in this society that thrives on order and conformity, divergents are seen as a threat. They can't be easily controlled or manipulated, which makes them both powerful and dangerous.
So Triss is carrying this huge secret, knowing that her very existence challenges the foundation of this society.
Yeah.
No pressure there.
No pressure at all.
And this all leads up to the choosing ceremony, a pivotal event where 16-year-olds choose their faction for life, either sticking with their family's faction or venturing into a new one.
Exactly.
Choosing your entire life path at 16, that's a lot to put on a teenager's shoulders.
It's so much pressure. I mean, could you imagine?
I can't even choose what I want for dinner.
Exactly.
And in a truly shocking move, Triss leaves Abnegation and chooses Dauntless, the faction known for bravery and risk-taking.
It's a big change.
It's a complete 180 from her upbringing, and it sends ripples through her family and the entire community.
For sure.
Whoa, from selflessness to fearlessness, that's a serious change of pace.
Yeah.
What's life like in Dauntless?
So think adrenaline junkies meets warrior culture.
Yeah.
These are the people who jump off moving trains,
What?
scale tall buildings, and face their fears head on.
I'm getting tired just thinking about it.
It is.
It's all about pushing boundaries and proving your courage.
Yeah.
Jumping off moving trains.
Yeah.
That's how they welcome new recruits.
That's how they do it.
Oh my gosh.
Triss's initiation into Dauntless begins with a literal leap of faith from a speeding train onto a rooftop.
Wow.
It's their way of weeding out the weak and setting the tone for the brutal training that follows.
Talk about trial by fire. What else does Triss have to endure in this Dauntless boot camp?
I mean, it's pretty intense.
Yeah.
We're talking knife-throwing, hand-to-hand combat, constant physical and mental challenges.
Oh, wow.
She's thrown into this highly competitive environment where everyone is fighting for a limited number of spots in the faction.
So it's not just about facing external dangers, but also navigating the internal dynamics of this cutthroat faction.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And as Triss tackles these challenges, she encounters a mix of allies and rivals.
Okay.
So Christina, Will, and Uriah become her friends, offering support and camaraderie.
Right.
But then you have Peter and his cronies who quickly establish themselves as antagonists, constantly trying to sabotage her.
The classic hero's journey friends to help you along the way and rivals to test your limits.
It's the formula. And then there's 4, Tris' enigmatic instructor. He's this brooding, mysterious figure with a quiet intensity that both intimidates and intrigues Tris.
4, the mysterious heartthrob. Gotta love a good dystopian love interest.
Oh, he's definitely more than just a pretty face.
Yeah.
4 sees something special in Tris, her potential, her divergence. But he's also wary of the danger it brings. You know, knowing the risks of being different in this society.
Right.
He's got a lot going on.
I can see the sparks flying already. But back to the training, you mentioned fear simulations.
Yeah.
What are those all about?
So the fear simulations are a crucial part of Dauntless training.
Okay.
They're designed to expose initiates' deepest fears and force them to confront their weaknesses.
Oh.
But for Tris, these simulations become more than just tests.
Really?
They start to reveal her divergent nature, her ability to think outside the box and even manipulate the simulations in ways no one has ever seen before.
Wait, she can manipulate the simulations?
She can.
That sounds like a big deal.
It is a huge deal, and it catches the attention of Tori, a Dauntless member who secretly knows about Divergence. She sees Tris's potential, but also understands the danger she's in.
Right.
She tries to warn Tris, hinting at the dark secrets surrounding Divergence and the forces that want to control it.
So Tris is not only navigating a brutal initiation process, but she's also dealing with the weight of her divergence, knowing it makes her a target in this world.
Right.
Let's talk about stress.
So much pressure.
And the pressure keeps building, especially as visiting day approaches.
Oh, yeah.
This is the day when initiates get to see their families for the first time since the choosing ceremony.
Exactly.
It's meant to be a joyous occasion, but for Tris, it becomes a source of tension and heartache.
It does.
Why is that? Shouldn't it be a relief to see her family?
You would think so, but her family's worried sick, especially her mother.
Okay.
They don't understand her choice, her decision to leave the safety and familiarity of Abnegation for the dangers of Dauntless. And plus, there are these underlying tensions between the factions.
Yeah.
Fueled by prejudice and power struggles, which makes the whole day fraught with anxiety.
So it's not just personal drama, but also a reminder of the societal divisions that are simmering beneath the surface.
Exactly.
And amidst all this, Tris discovers a shocking truth about her mother. She used to be Dauntless, too.
I know, big reveal.
Oh, a family secret reveal, that definitely adds another layer to their relationship.
Oh, for sure.
It does. But just as Tris is grappling with this revelation, things take a terrifying turn.
Oh, yeah.
The erudite, led by the cunning Jeanine Matthews, launch a surprise attack on Abnegation, using mind-controlled Dauntless soldiers as their weapons.
Oh, no.
Mind-controlled soldiers, what's Jeanine's endgame here?
Power and control.
Of course.
Jeanine sees Abnegation's selflessness as a weakness, an obstacle to her vision of a society ruled by intellect and logic. She's manipulating the entire system, pitting the factions against each other, and using fear and violence to achieve her goals.
This is getting really dark, what happens to Tris during this attack.
It's intense. She's thrust into a fight for survival, witnessing the brutality of the erudite and experiencing devastating losses.
Oh, gosh.
It's a turning point that forces her to confront the harsh realities of this conflict and the sacrifices people are making.
So we've got a heroine on a mission facing impossible odds and a powerful enemy. Sounds like the perfect setup for a thrilling climax.
Oh, it is.
But before we jump into that, let's take a quick pause. What are your initial impressions of Tris's journey so far?
You know what? I am really struck by her resilience, her ability to adapt and grow in the face of immense pressure. You know, she's constantly challenging herself, questioning her beliefs, and forging her own path, even when the world tries to force her into a predetermined mold.
Right.
It's a really powerful reminder that we all have the capacity to defy expectations and discover our true selves, even in the most challenging circumstances.
That's a great point. Tris's resilience is definitely something that jumps out at you when you're reading this book.
Yeah.
She's faced with one impossible choice after another, and yet she never gives up.
That's the heart of her character, isn't it? This constant push and pull between her innate selflessness and this newfound bravery that Dauntless demands. It's fascinating to see how Roth weaves those two sides of her personality together.
So let's pick up where we left off. The erudite have attacked Abnegation, leaving Tris and her allies fighting for survival. What happens next in this chaotic scene?
Well, it's a whirlwind of destruction, and buildings are crumbling, people are being killed, and Tris witnesses firsthand the brutality of the erudite's mind control. She loses people close to her, including her own mother, who sacrifices herself to save Triss.
That scene with Triss's mother is heartbreaking. It really underscores the stakes of this conflict and the sacrifices people are willing to make for their loved ones.
It's a huge turning point for Triss, both emotionally and in terms of how she views the conflict. She sees the true cost of the erudite's ambition and realizes that she can't stand by and let them win.
So what does she do? Where does she go after escaping the Abnegation sector?
Well, she, along with Tobias Caleb and her father, seek refuge in Amity, the faction that values peace and harmony. It's a stark contrast to the violence they've just experienced. But even in this seemingly idyllic setting, tensions are high.
It makes sense. Amity's all about tranquility and avoiding conflict. Having a group of Dauntless refugees show up, especially with the erudite hot on their trail, must create some friction.
Oh, there's definitely an underlying tension. The erudite have been spreading propaganda painting Abnegation as weak and corrupt, which fuels suspicion towards Triss and her group. Plus, there's the added complexity of Caleb choosing erudite, which creates distrust within the group itself.
So they're surrounded by uncertainty both within the group and from the Amity community. What's their next move?
Well, they're just trying to make sense of the erudite's motives and figure out how to stop them.
Right.
And this is where Caleb's knowledge of the erudite becomes crucial.
Right. He chose to transfer to erudite during the choosing ceremony.
Yeah.
What kind of information does he reveal?
Well, he explains that the erudite have developed a new and improved simulation serum, one that can control people's actions even outside of the virtual reality simulations.
Whoa. So they're not just manipulating people in virtual environments anymore. They're controlling them in the real world. That's terrifying.
It is, and this serum is what the erudite used to turn Dauntless soldiers against Abnegation. They're essentially creating an army of mind-controlled puppets.
So Triss knows she can't stay in hiding. She has to take action. What does she do?
She realizes that the key to stopping this serum is to get back to the Dauntless compound and find a way to disable it. It's a dangerous mission, but Triss is determined to protect the remaining Abnegation and expose the truth behind the erudite's manipulation.
It's a classic hero's journey, facing impossible odds and risking everything to fight for what's right.
Yeah.
How do they even get back to Dauntless headquarters? It's not like they could just stroll in there.
Well, they decide to use the abandoned train tracks to sneak back into the city, and it's actually Triss's father who guides them, drawing on his past Dauntless skills to navigate the dangerous underground network.
It's interesting, we see a different side of Triss's father in this section. A glimpse of his past bravery and the skills he's kept hidden for so long.
Right, exactly. It's a reminder that even those who choose a life of selflessness can still possess remarkable strength and courage.
So they make it back to the Dauntless compound? What's the atmosphere like there?
It's a shadow of its former self. The place is tense, oppressive, and under Eric's tyrannical control.
Right.
He's basically Janine's puppet, ruthlessly enforcing her orders and punishing anyone who shows dissent.
This is where the true horror of the mind control becomes apparent. Right. Triss sees her friends, her fellow initiates, transformed into emotionless soldiers carrying out the erudite's orders without question.
It's a chilling depiction of how easily people can be manipulated and dehumanized when someone else takes control of their minds. And it gets even more personal for Triss when she encounters Will, her close friend, who is now completely under the influence of the serum.
That scene with Will is gut-wrenching. Triss is forced to confront the fact that her friend is lost to the serum's control and that she may have to fight him to survive.
It's one of those moments that really highlights the devastating consequences of the erudite's actions. It's not just about political power or ideological differences anymore. It's about the destruction of individual lives, the shattering of friendships, and the loss of innocence.
So how does Triss deal with this encounter with Will? It must be incredibly difficult to face someone she cares about who's been turned into a weapon against her.
It is, and it leads to one of the most emotionally charged scenes in the book. Triss, faced with the heartbreaking reality of Will's situation, is forced to make an impossible choice, a choice that will haunt her for the rest of the series.
This is where we really see Triss's inner strength tested, isn't it?
Yeah.
She's not just fighting for survival, she's grappling with the weight of moral dilemmas and the agonizing consequences of her actions.
It's a powerful moment that showcases the complexities of war and the sacrifices people are forced to make. It's not a simple black and white situation. There are shades of gray, and Triss is right in the middle of it, struggling to do what she believes is right, even when it breaks her heart.
That encounter with Will is definitely one of the most impactful scenes in the whole book. You know, it's a stark reminder that even in a dystopian world, the most difficult battles are often internal.
Yeah.
The ones that force us to confront our values and make those impossible choices.
I think it's a moment that stays with you, that makes you question, what would I do in a similar situation?
Right.
And I think it speaks to Roth's ability to create these characters that feel real, that make you care about their struggles and dilemmas.
So after that harrowing encounter, Therese, along with Tobias and her father, they continue their mission to reach the control room and disable that simulation.
Yeah.
But their path is fraught with danger. They face mind-controlled, dauntless soldiers, intense firefights, and the constant threat of being discovered.
Yeah, and it's during this desperate fight for survival that Tris experiences another profound loss.
Yeah.
Her father sacrifices himself to protect her, and Tobias giving them a chance to reach their goal.
His death is such a powerful moment in the story. It underscores that theme of selflessness that runs through the book.
Yeah.
But it also highlights the personal cost of this conflict, the way it tears families apart and forces people to make ultimate sacrifices.
Right. It's a reminder that even in a world driven by faction allegiances and ideological battles, love and family still hold immense power.
So Tris, burdened by grief but fueled by a desire for justice, pushes forward with Tobias. They finally reach the control room. But their challenges are far from over.
They're not.
They find Jeanine waiting for them, the mastermind behind the entire operation. And she's not about to let them dismantle her plans without a fight.
Oh, no.
This final showdown between Tris and Jeanine is so intense, it's not just a physical confrontation.
Yeah.
It's also a battle of wills, a clash between two very different visions of the future.
It is. Jeanine represents the dangers of unchecked ambition. That belief that intellect and logic should rule above all else. She's willing to manipulate, control, and even kill to achieve her goals.
Right. And Tris, on the other hand, represents the power of individual choice.
Yeah.
The courage to question authority and the belief in compassion and empathy.
I love that.
And in a truly shocking twist, Jeanine reveals that she's captured Tobias.
What?
And is using him as a test subject for a new, even more powerful simulation serum.
Oh my goodness.
This one is designed to control divergent minds, something that was previously thought to be impossible.
Wow. This is where Roth really ratchets up the tension we see Tobias under the influence of the serum, turned against. Chris, forced to attack her against his will.
Right.
It's a heartbreaking scene that shows just how far Jeanine is willing to go to maintain control.
But Tris, even faced with this betrayal, refuses to give up on Tobias. She sees a flicker of his true self beneath the serum's control, and she risks her own life to reach him, to remind him of who he really is.
It's a moment of incredible courage and love, and I think it really speaks to the power of human connection. That idea that even the strongest manipulations can be broken by genuine empathy and understanding.
And in a thrilling climax, Tris's gamble pays off. Tobias breaks free of the serum's control, just long enough for her to disable the simulation.
Yes.
Freeing the mind-controlled Dauntless soldiers and shattering the Erudite's control.
It's a victory hard won, but it comes at a heavy price. Tris has lost her parents, witnessed countless deaths, and been forced to make impossible choices.
Right.
But through it all, she's emerged stronger, more resilient, and more determined than ever to fight for a better future.
And that's where Divergent leaves us on a cliffhanger that sets the stage for the rest of the trilogy. We're left wondering what's next for Tris, for Tobias, and for this fractured world that's been shaken to its core.
It's a powerful ending that leaves you wanting more, that makes you eager to dive into the next book and see how these characters navigate the aftermath of this conflict and continue to fight for their beliefs.
Okay, so let's shift gears a bit and talk about our overall impressions of Divergent. What did you think of Roth's writing style?
I found her writing to be incredibly engaging and immersive. She's able to create a really vivid and believable world.
Right.
One that feels both familiar and utterly unique. Her action scenes are fast-paced and thrilling.
Yeah.
And her characters are complex and relatable.
I agree. She has a talent for drawing you into the story, making you feel like you're right there alongside Tris as she faces these challenges and makes these difficult choices. And the way she explores these themes of identity, courage, and the dangers of control is so thought-provoking and timely.
Yeah, I think it's a story that resonates with readers of all ages, but especially with young adults who are grappling with their own sense of identity and their place in the world.
So final verdict, what would you rate Divergent out of 10?
Oh, I would give it a solid 8.5.
Okay.
It's a thrilling, thought-provoking, and emotionally resonant read that I highly recommend to anyone who enjoys dystopian fiction or simply a good story about the power of the human spirit.
I'm right there with you. It's an 8.5 for me as well. It's a book that stays with you long after you finish reading it.
And for our listeners, we'd love to hear your thoughts. What did you think of Divergent?
Yeah.
What faction would you choose if you were facing the choosing ceremony? Head over to our social media channels and let us know.
And be sure to join us next time as we continue our exploration of the Divergent series with the second book, Insurgent.
Yes.
The stakes are even higher, the twists even more shocking, and Triff's journey of self-discovery takes some unexpected turns.
Until then, keep those pages turning, and remember, the best stories are the ones that make you think, feel, and question everything.